Okay, beta. So now we are going to revise the different genera of subfamily Papilionati. The first one is Vicia faba, and this is the one after which the name of family Fabaceae has been given. Okay, and you can see here there is a particular black dot on the flowers from where you can easily recognize the species, that is Vicia faba, and the plant is commonly used as fodder, whereas its seeds and the pods they are used as pulses, as vegetable. Okay, the second is Vigna or Dolichos unguiculata. This is called cowpea lobia, and we have mentioned this example under twiners. Okay, we mentioned that there are tree species, woody species, the woody climbers, twiners. Okay, so there under twiner we mentioned the example of Vigna or Dolichos unguiculata. You can see it yourself. These are the weak stemmed plants and easily they can twine around the support. But otherwise, this pulses the lobia. We commonly call it lobia. This is used as a pulse and we use it under different preparations. It can be cooked, it can be directly consumed in the boiled form, in the form of a vegetable can be taken up. Okay. Then we have Mucuna pruriens. It's called velvet bean. It's the example under woody climber. We have only one example in this subfamily, that is a woody climber. You can see it yourself. It's a woody climber, and we have mentioned in the floral characters also. This is the only one species with capitate stigma. Otherwise, the stigma is lobed or papillose, but here it is capitate. And why this is called velvet bean? Look at the pods. They are so velvety in texture. That's why we say this is a velvet bean. Next is Glycyrrhiza glabra, which is commonly called licorice, or in Hindi language we call it mulatti. It's a very common ingredient of our tea masala, as well as in many Ayurvedic preparations. In cough related issues it is used. And which part is used? Roots. Roots are used for medicinal purposes mainly. Okay, we have studied this plant under tree habit because it's a tree species, it's a woody plant. Then its root, they are used for sore throat, for joint pain, for stomach problems, and for prostate cancer. Next species is Pterocarpus centellinus. It's from the centellus. If you remember, that is for the chandan, okay, which is called sandalwood. Now, this is not that plant. It is a different one. That is a centellum. This is called centellinus. Why? Because it's a kind of red sandalwood. It is used for the same purpose in the temples, in the religious ceremonies, etc., as a replacement for original chandan. Okay, so that's why it is called red sandalwood. And basically, we are studying this plant because it's a tree species, woody, and its wood, the user's wood is used as red chandan. Next species is Butea monosperma, which is called forest fire. Its another name is Erythrina monosperma. The flowers, they are bright red orange in color, and in a forest area, from a distant place, it looks like a fire. It gives appearance of the flames. That's why it is called forest fire. Now, we are studying it because it is under the tree habit. You can see it's a proper full-fledged tree. And the economic importance is that the leaves of this plant, you can see they are very sturdy leaves. The leaves of this plant, they are used for making plates. Next example is Dolichos falcatus, which is called sickle bean. Again, we are studying this under the tree species, the woody species. And why it's called sickle beans? Look at its pods. They are of a perfect sickle shape. That's why it is called the sickle bean. Then we have two species, Lathyrus odoratus and Lathyrus aphaca. Lathyrus odoratus is garden pea, or this is also called sweet pea, whereas Lathyrus aphaca is a wild pea. What is the difference between the two? You can see one is a flower color. It has very beautiful flowers, that's why it is used for ornamental purposes, and it's a climber. whereas this one is a wild species which is having pale colored flowers. Then second difference is, here you can see the leaflets, the upper leaflets, they are modified into tendrils. Whereas in this case, these structures, they are stipules which are performing the function of photosynthesis, and otherwise the whole leaf has modified into tendril. So the difference is, here we observe leaflet tendrils and in this we see whole leaf tendrils. But otherwise, both of these, they are climbers. They have leaflet tendrils in this or whole leaf tendrils in this. Both have 1+9 arrangement of the stamens, where the filaments of 9, they fuse to form a group, and one is separate, so it is actually having two groups, so called diadelphous stamens. And stigma in these cases is papillate stigma, means it's a wet stigma having lot of papillae on the surface. And what is the economic importance? We use this plant for the ornamental purposes as well as fodder. Okay, and this is a wild species growing as such. Okay, Pisum sativum, it is called edible pea. It's just like Lathyrus odoratus, just the difference is flower color, it's pale in color. And you can see here leaflet tendrils, the upper leaflets, they are modified into tendrils. Then we have the leafy stipules at the base, and in this case we have pods. These are the economically important parts which are used. Again, the characters are same. It is a climber. It has leaflet tendrils. It has diadelphous stamens. Stigma is papillate. And what is the use? It's used as vegetable. The next species is Astragalus creticus. Now, why we are referring here? It's not related to the economic importance, but yes, one important character is observed in the plant, that the rachis of the compound leaf. See, all these leaves, they are compound. They are having the pinnate arrangement. We have leaflets and the tip of rachis is modified into a spine. This is the only species in which this character is observed. Here also you can see, even at the very young stages also, the rachis is modified into a spine. So this species is Astragalus creticus. Next comes Cicer areatinum. Cicer is gram, chane. Okay, and this plant you must have observed. The plant is having pinnate compound leaves. There are present 1 to 3 seeds in each legume, in each pod, and this is basically used, either it is consumed in the raw form when it is green in color, or when ripened it is consumed as cicer, chane, as vegetable. Next is Indigofera tinctoria. Now this plant, it is important for its dye. Okay, so we have, and another thing is this species Indigofera cordifolia. This is the one which is having, see the arrangement of the leaves, they are simple leaves. In the members of this subfamily, mostly we have compound leaves. They may be palmate, trifoliate, or they may be pinnate. But this is an example where we observe that the leaves are simple. It's a small herbaceous plant, and the main thing is that this plant is used for making a dye. Dye is obtained from tinctoria. Simple leaves example is cordifolia. So you have to remember both. For economic importance, you will mention Indigofera tinctoria, whose leaves are used. They are fermented and then they yield a dye which is blue in color, which is generally used as indigo or neil for our white clothes. Next species is Desmodium triflorum. This we have considered under the example of palmate leaf, which is a trifoliate type. So it has 3 leaflets, and from those 3 leaflets, the 2 which are the smaller one, the lateral leaflets, you can see here, these lateral leaflets, they are in a continuous motion. They show autonomic movements. Okay, and they are a kind of jerky movements. You can see it yourself. And this, the terminal one, this leaflet, it doesn't show any movement. So, one, you will say that this is under the trifoliate leaves. This is a species which is a common one growing in the lawn areas, which is called triflorum. Whereas the one which is actually showing prominent autonomic movements, it's Desmodium gyrans, which is called Indian telegraph plant. It's called Indian telegraph plant. So this we mention as fodder and another reference is for the autonomic movements. Then comes Trigonella phenum It's methi. We all consume methi at house and we commonly call it methre. Okay, and this one is a real methi, which is kasuri methi. So you can make out the difference yourself. Generally, when we bring at home, if it is flowering, you can easily see that if it is having yellow colored flowers, it means it is Medicago falcata, kasuri methi. But if it is having white colored flower, then this is Trigonella phenum means methre. But let's suppose it's not flowering, then how will you recognize? Both of these, they have trifoliate leaves. Both have the serrated margins of the leaves. Now you can easily make out the difference. See the apex. The apex of leaf here is slightly notched, whereas the apex in this is having a peculiar spine at the tip. Okay, it's a sharp end, sharp tip. So from there you can make out that if a sharp tip is present, it is kasuri methi, means Medicago falcata. But if it's a notched apex, then it is Trigonella phenum means it is methre. Okay, so one, we have studied this example under trifoliate leaves, and secondly, as an economic important aspect, we are using these species as vegetables. Okay, Delbergia siso. This is a woody species. It's a common timber yielding plant, very, very common, which is called tali or shisham. Okay, so this is an example of a tree habit. Secondly, it has pinnate leaves, but see the leaflets, they are alternate. So this is an example with alternate leaflets, only example with this reference. And it has 9 stamens and they are monoidalphous. The plant wood is termite resistant. So it is the economic important. It's very, very expensive but it is termite proof. Next example is Arachis hypogaea. We will have 3 examples in a row which are having 9 stamens and monoidalphous condition. Now Arachis hypogaea is groundnut. Why this is called hypogaea? See, initially the flowers, they are above soil. Okay, but moment the fertilization will take place, the ovaries, they develop these peg-like structures which slowly turn black in color, and they are positively geotropic. Okay, so these peg-like structures, they are positively geotropic and they just pull ovaries. See, these are the developing flowers. Still the ovary is not visible. So a peg-like structure has developed and that will take ovary along with it below ground. So that's why finally you observe these pods underground. Okay, this is how this phenomena takes place, and that's why the species is called hypogaea. Now you can see here clearly that it is one of the examples of the pinnate leaves with the even number of leaflets, means peripinnate condition. Second is the leaflets, they are exactly opposite. Third is it is the only example in the subfamily where bracteoles are present. Bracteoles are present. Then there are 9 stamens and they show monoidalphous condition. What is the economic importance? We consume these seeds directly. Second is oil is obtained. It's an oil yielding crop. So oil is obtained, and very commonly groundnut oil is used in our kitchens for cooking purpose. And whatever remains are left, the plant body, it is used as fodder. Next species is Ebrus precatorius. It is commonly called rati. Now you can see here the leaves, they are pinnately compound. And again, it has 9 stamens. They have monoidalphous condition. So this is a third example in a row having 9 stamens with monoidalphous condition. Now it is the economic importance is that the seeds of this plant, see how beautiful the seeds are. They just look like the ladybug. So these seeds of these plants, they are used as gold standards. They are used as a weight standards by goldsmiths. And secondly, they are used as ornaments also. In the necklaces, etc. These seeds, they are usually, because they are not perishable, so these seeds are generally used for the ornaments. Next example is Crotalaria. So we will have 2 examples of fiber yielding crops. One is Crotalaria and the next one we will discuss, that is Sesbania. So Crotalaria gentiana, this is commonly called sun hemp plant. And this is a very, very important plant for yielding sun hemp fibers. And they are obtained from the stem of this plant. Okay, and you can see this is another example where simple leaves are present, but we are not considering it under that. We have not mentioned it in the written text, but economic importance from that point of view, the plant is really very important because its stem fibers are very, very famous. These are one of the earliest fibers. Okay, so these are one of the earliest fibers which were used for making mats, cords, etc. And the remaining, the foliage is used as fodder. Another example which is used as a substitute for sun hemp, it is Sesbania. Sesbania aculeata. This is a plant, again, it is having compound leaves, whereas Crotalaria was having simple leaves. So Sesbania, which is having a compound leaves, the fibers again from the stem of this plant, they are used as a substitute for Crotalaria. Okay, so they have same purpose. They are used for making ropes, cords, fishnets, etc. And how we recognize this? This is generally called prickly sesbane. Prickly, why? Because prickles are present on the surface of stem. If somebody touches its stems, then he or she can easily observe that prickles are there. Prickles, they are different from spines and thorns. Prickles means the superficial hairs. So when the superficial hairs, they get hardened, they result in the form just like prickles in rose. Okay, they can be easily detached. They don't have a vascular supply. Whereas we have spines. Spines are when leaves, they are modified into the sharp structures. They are called spines, as we observe in case of most of the species of acacia, kikar. Then there are thorns. Thorns means when the stem branches, these are not leaves, these are stem branches modified into the sharp structures. They are called thorns. So these both, they have vascular supply, whereas they don't have vascular supply. So what I'm saying here, the prickles are present. Okay. Next comes Cajanus cajan. The main plant, this is for the trifoliate leaves purpose. I have mentioned it here, and you should also know that what is arhar. Arhar is a dal that we generally consume, especially in sambar, in a South Indian dish called sambar. So there it is a main requirement of this dish, and this is basically the Cajanus cajan, which is called arhar or pigeon pea. Next is Phaseolus mungo. You all know this plant. This is called the sabut moong dal, and the seeds of this plant, it is used as pulses either in a whole form or in the split form. It is also part of many of the confectionery articles also. We directly consume it as a pulse, as well as in the confectionery items, the fried dal is consumed. Okay, so that's all about the general characters and economic importance of subfamily Papilionaceae.